A very good evening, everyone. Welcome to Pratham Test Prep channel, and here we are again with another session on vocabulary. This time around, again, we're going to do 5 words in the matter of 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's a quick dose for you to know what's going on with the vocabulary section. All right. I hope that you have enjoyed these chilly nights and chilly mornings, and that you're anticipating a good New Year as well. Let's very quickly take you to the first word for the day. And I also hope that you guys are, you know, also revising the words that we're doing. So it's very important for all of us to realize that vocabulary is not going to just help you with your entrance examination, whether it's undergraduate, postgraduate, or anything that you're doing in your life, except that it's also going to be very, very helpful for you to make good conversation with people, to have a good impression on them, and to also be well spoken. Uh, Hello, Rahul. How are you? So here's our first word for the day. Let's see what the first word is. The first word is sardonic. All right. So if you look at the word sardonic, it will look or it'll give you an impression that it is actually a combination of sarcastic from the first 3 letters of the word and then ironic from the second half of the word. So you'd say that sardonic is actually a combination of 2 words, sarcastic and ironic. So you're going to remember these 2 words as your mnemonic aid, which will help you to identify what can sardonic mean. Sardonic is exactly what the mnemonic aid is. It is sarcastic. When you say ironic not in the way that you think about it. Ironic is not something that's sadly funny, but ironic can also be something that's sarcastic, something that's mocking, right? So sardonic here would then mean something that's sarcastic, something that's cynical, a person who's bitter, so would be probably ridiculing or mocking the other person or the other people. That's what sardonic is. So if you can remember the character, Chandler's character from Friends, that character was a sardonic one because he was mocking and cynical and sarcastic. Well, then not very bitter, but again, that's what sardonic means. It's a combination of sarcastic and ironic. So if you look at the sentence, it says his mouth twisted to a sardonic smile. When you say sardonic smile, it's not a smile that conveys good regards. All right. It's not something that you'd be, making, or you're not passing some sardonic smile when you're happy, except that you'll do it when you're probably mocking somebody, or when you have some wicked thought in your mind, or you're being cynical, more like scorning. All right, more like scorning, like when you're smiling at somebody and you're like, okay, yeah, I know what the deal there is. So that's what sardonic is. All right. So if you look at the picture also, it says very impressive. Can't you see my excitement? That's a sarcastic comment. That's a sardonic comment. Clearly, it's meant to show some sort of bitterness in you. All right. Clearly, it's meant to show that you're cynical about something. And that's what sardonic is, exactly what it is. It's sarcastic plus ironic. Right. So that was the first word. After this, I'm going to take you to the second word for the night, which is abeyance. Now, abeyance here, the word is, I want you to go back to your school times. And if you are in school, well, then think about your school times, especially when you were in school, not like taking classes online. But what would happen if you did an act of disobedience in school? Well, obviously, when you'd be very, very disobedient, a disobedience that might cross certain boundaries, that might lead to suspension. You might be suspended from school. And when we say suspended from school, you're not expelled, like you're not entirely out of school. You're not pushed out of it. You're just stopped from coming to school for a while, for whatever time of period of suspension that you have, maybe 3 days, maybe 5 days, a week, a month, whatever. That's what abeyance is. When you think about your suspension in school, God forbid that you have any, all right, when you've done something of disobedience, that leads to suspension. So you can clearly say abeyance sounds or looks very similar to disobedience, right? So abeyance say aap disobedience nikaloge, and then disobedience leads to suspension. And what do we mean by suspension? It's a temporary hold. It's not a final verdict. It's a temporary hold that you won't be able to come to school for a while. And that is what abeyance means. Temporary hold or a suspension, that's what abeyance is. So all you really need to remember from this is disobedience. And then how, everything else will fall into picture, because disobedience will lead to suspension, which would mean temporary hold. And that's what the meaning of abeyance is. So a state of temporary disuse. Now let's say there's a road maybe here because it's under construction. So all the transport facility or all the passages will be in abeyance, right? That means they'll be in a state of temporary disuse, like you won't be able to use it for a while. So think about where the farmers are protesting at the moment. That highway, it's in the border, the entire border, that entire road, that highway is in temporary disuse that right now. So that means that it's in an abeyance. All right. Similarly, suspension deferred means something that's delayed, something that's put for later. All right, so that's what abeyance means. So the project was held in abeyance. That means it was held in a temporary halt, maybe it was suspended for a while, or it was deferred. That means it was kept for later. That is what abeyance means. Now that was the second word. So we did the first word, all right, which was again the word was sardonic. Now we're coming to the word abeyance. The third word for the day is impasse. Now impasse as a word is a very normal, easy word to do actually, because the mnemonic aid is quite relatable. If you look at the word impasse, you see that you get impossible in the first half of the word, impossible, and then the second half looks like pass. So anything that's impossible to pass is impasse. All right, anything that you can't pass, anything that you can't cross or transgress is impasse. So clearly, if you look at the picture, you see that this is a dead end. What we can very, very nicely explain this picture is that it's a dead end, that you can't pass through it. There is no moving forward. You're stuck at a place. The only way that you can go back is not progress, right? So that's what impasse means. It's a dead end. It's a deadlock, or it's a situation where there can't be any progress. Like that you're stuck in a place where there's no development, no progress, nothing that might change. Maybe things might go downhill from here, but nothing in terms of improvement. And that's what impasse is. So let's say you're in an impasse of your career. That means you're stuck in a career. You are not able to come out of it, or there's no progress further in this career. So that's what impasse would be. Maybe you're in an impasse of, let's say, ideas. So if you're in an impasse of ideas, that means you are in that position where it's a mental block. That means you can't have any productive ideas coming to your way, nothing fertile coming out. And that's what an impasse would be. It's a situation where there is no progress or a dead end for you. So that's what impasse means. It can be a deadlock physically, all right? It can be in your career, in your thoughts, in emotions, anything. And that's what impasse is. That was the third word for the day. I'm taking you to the fourth one now. Now, the fourth word is salient. Now, salient, I don't think any CBSE student, or especially a person who's read NCERT, would ever forget in their lives. I think salient is that one word which they remember even when they're not conscious, right? Because you might have done it time and again, salient features of this, salient features of that, and everything else that comes in between, right? So this is what salient ka meaning. Obviously, I'm sure you've known it from your CBSE books and your NCERT books. And salient, that would mean important, anything that's very prominent, anything that's notable, major, essential, vital. These are words that will very easily describe salient to us. That's something that's very prominent, very, very important, anything that's very potent in the situation. That's what salient is. So this answer covers all the salient features of the movement. That means this answer would probably cover all the aspects that are notable, all the major, essential, vital aspects of the movement. Just before I go to the next word, I have this one question that Saurabh's asking, which I would want to address, which is, which kind of question asked in entrance of Xavier's BMS in English section. So BMS, especially for the Xavier's exam, the questions are majorly vocabulary. They ask you idioms. All right. There is one passage, that's what we had last year. All right. There were passages. There were some questions from the booster that we are doing as of now, which is the words that we are covering today will be very helpful, not just for your Xavier's BMS, but for your DU-JAT BMS or IIM or symbiosis, anything. All right. So they are very, very high on asking you about vocabulary. They are very important in terms of idioms. They ask you a lot of passage questions, reading passages. I think that's pretty much it that Xavier's covers. But again, that's not set in stone. It's not something that will or cannot change. Maybe eventually you might see that there are a couple of other aspects also included into your question paper, like sentence correction, like grammar, like fill in the gaps. But again, last year we had only vocabulary, idioms, and RC. What we need you to understand is that it can be a mix of anything, right? But vocabulary will still play a very, very vital role, and that's the reason why we're giving it to you. Okay, so that was salient. Salient के बाद अब चलते हैं for next word पे, which is impetuous. Now, impetuous as a word is hi Apurv, how are you? Hello Kitty. Tushar. Okay, Tushar is saying, hi ma'am, I am a Pratham alumni. Missing days of vocab in lockdown. I'm in due. Thank you, ma'am. Wow, Tushar, how nice to have older students come to me and tell me all of these things. This is very encouraging also, and plus, trust me, missing vocab classes like anything. I think yours was a very, very vibrant batch, and I'm really missing that crowd. All right, so that was I think this is impetuous. This is, I think, the fourth or the fifth word. Now, impetuous as a word, if you see, you will see that the first three letters of this word make the word impulsive. Okay, so it's the starting of another word which is impulsive, and that's how you're going to remember impetuous. So impulsive, anybody who might do anything without giving good thought, okay, without being very careful, without being reckless, all right, without being very, very careful. So being reckless, being hasty, being very quick to decide and not giving it a thought. That's what impulsive is. Like doing whenever, जो चीज दिमाग में आ गई वैसे कर लिया, without being careful. That's what impulsive is, and that's what impetuous was also means. So anything that's rash, careless, callous, hasty, reckless, impulsive, these are all words that you can relate with the word impetuous. So marrying someone you hardly know is an impetuous decision. Again, I think goes without saying, this is something that everybody would agree with. If you marry somebody you don't know, or you've not met, or you've not background checked, then that's an impetuous decision. It's a careless decision, and that's what it is. Ma'am, आज हमारी class नहीं ली. अपूर्व, अच्छा. आपकी class होगी, कल होगी. All right, so that's the fifth word. That was our last word. All right, we're going to very quickly do a quick revision of all the words that we had done. Starting with the first word that we did. The first word, okay, let's not do it in order. Let's go random order way. Abeyance was one of the words that we did. Abeyance was related with disobedience and how disobedience leads to suspension, and suspension, which means temporary halt, and that's what abeyance would be. Then we did salient. All right, salient was, again, if you remember from your NCERT book, salient features, and what we understand by that is vital features, important features, features that are prominent. All right, that's what salient was. Then I think we did sardonic. Sardonic was, again, sarcastic plus ironic. Both of them are correct meanings. All right. And then what we understand is that sarcastic, mocking, ridiculous, or cynical, being bitter towards somebody, that is what sardonic means. So we did abeyance, we did salient, we did sardonic. This is impetuous, which is on your screen right now. Impetuous, which means impulsive, rash, hasty, reckless, being not very careful, not thinking about certain decisions. That's what impetuous is. And I'm forgetting one other word, which is impasse. All right, so impasse was impossible to pass, and impossible to pass would mean anything that's a dead end. All right, anything that where you can't go from or move out of. So it can be a situation where there's no progress. It can be an idea which you are probably in a mental block. That's what an impasse would be. Or it can be physical impasse, which is like a dead end, quite literally, right? And that's what our 5 words for the day look like. Yes, Rahul, I'm back. I think I have a class with you tomorrow. I'm going to be there. And I hope that all of you enjoyed the session and you make the most of the 5 words that we have done. Make sure that you keep coming back to the page for more information, whether it's current affairs or it's vocabulary. We have vocabulary sessions every day, actually every night at 9. So make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you hit the bell icon. Share with people who you think might benefit from these classes. All right. Do make sure that you comment on anything that you want to change or any feedback that you have for us. We're always happy to grow. Until next time that I see you guys, take care of yourselves, be good, stay safe, have a very good night. Bye bye.